Omkar Tamhan has completed 125 titles as a sound engineer and entrepreneur in the Indian film industry. He co-founded Mariano Audio Post Services and the Audio Guys Institute. He's the youngest Dolby Atmos mastering consultant. So it's more about having the practice of using the right equipments. First of all, having an appreciation for great gear.
Correct.
And apart from having the appreciation for great gear, great equipments, adopting correct practices of using those gears, and this is where the point of capturing comes into picture.
Correct.
Where I would like you to share with our viewers that what kind of practices and what kind of standards you follow when it comes to, say, recording Foleys,
Correct.
ADRs, even music, and there are several other grey areas.
Correct.
In film post. Please share with our viewers that the involvement of correct gear is so important, and adapting to the right practices.
Correct.
As a sound engineer and as one of the departments within a film production. Please throw some light.
So mainly, first and foremost, anything recording based in post-production is that it has to be high dynamic range. There is no two ways about it. Because the reason is we have such a broad scale of things that we have to capture and insert in the film on a regular basis, things like footsteps, rustles, they barely make a noise, Half of the stuff you hear in Foley is, so quiet that pretty much 80-90% of microphones in the market don't really have the ability to capture them. Secondly, definitely is, it has to have a meaningful distortion. We work with so many more departments that a retake is much, much more difficult than what it is in music. A lot of times if a director okays the take and you're like, oh, but that clipped by like a dB. And so in music, you still have a question, should I keep it for the art or should I kind of go one more for the quality? In film, it's definitely a no-no. If it's a dB or two, if it's not like completely off the hook and distorted, you have to work with it. So you need a mic that has proven its worth over the years and given a certain texture, not just in the main operating range, but also when it's been, overcooked and run really hot. It has a musical approach to it. And, it should be a sound that, people are really, used to listening and like listening to. For me, my main horse is the U87. I'll be very honest, Plain and simple, that's a no-brainer mic for not just me, but pretty much like 80% or 90% of the industry. U87 on dubs, on close, paired with a shotgun. That's like a very standard combo for dubbing. A shotgun again for like very heavy Foley. That would be like 5 or 10%. Maybe like clothes, just clothes tearing or wood breaking. You might need the distance. But things like again body taps, rustles, footsteps. Majority of your Foley is so quiet that a U87 just works for us. 147, 149s are also great. That is like the plethora. But majorly, I have realized, and I've also talked to a lot of team members and fellow sound designers and mixing engineers, what is that unique bit of U87? And it's always been either the range that it can handle. An actor can choose to shout without even worrying about, what is going to happen to my mic? Am I going to distort or anything? They're just so used to it. It has a distinctive shape. So, everyone has a comfort zone seeing a U87. And I know it's a very funny thing to say, but like these little things do impact.
Correct.
We don't expect a director to know the difference between a dynamic and a condenser.
Correct.
We don't expect an actor to know the different types of microphones. If they're an enthusiast, great. But if not, it should not be held against them. Just seeing a U87 gives them that confidence that, oh yes, I remember this last film that I did.
Yes.
And I went to town all over with it dubbing and this setup kind of worked for me.
Correct.
U87 has given that proven worth in the industry specifically. 147, 149 have come in with the experimentation that, they don't know, we don't want to leave that Neumann signature sound. But we also want to figure out with different frequency responses, different levels of body, thickness, openness, highs, and we have a good enough palette. If you're considering strictly voices within the 147, 149, 87, 102s and 103s, these five I would say like cover a majority girth. For Foley's, a lot of times U87s they take care pretty much all of the work. If we are in for something more directional and condenser and something not too low and heavy, we look at the KMs as well, because again they have the ability to handle a lot of SPL. We've tried other pencil condensers and it just does not work. And it's not just us, it's decades of shortlisting.
Correct.
And just that physically the mic has been around for pretty much so many decades.
Correct.
That is like an information passed down on generations.
Absolutely.
A U87 is not just the information, but sometimes the physical mic, because it's been in the industry and the heart of music and film for so many decades, that a lot of times seniors hand over their U87s to their juniors, and you'll find these U87s all across the world that they're 50-year-old mics and they are still able to take day-to-day recording duties, and they just perform beautifully.
Correct. So I think the stress is also the stress is on not just practicing the right behavior, but also practicing it with the right equipment.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's I think it's a very valid point and a very big point.
And mainly with equipment you need two things. It's great. Experimentation is great. You'll grow out of the shell, all of that. But yes, once you have a new workflow set, you need the equipment to be dependable, and you need to use it to such an extent that you should know if it's that or not. It should have a signature sound. It should have something unique. It's not just towards adding the palette. It also develops an intimate relation towards equipment. I know it might feel like a very cyborgy kind of a script that...
No, but I agree, because even I am attached. For example, I have been using the KH120s. They were my first monitors.
Correct, yeah.
Or my first ever condenser microphone. I'm still attached to these gears, like my first piece of equipment.
Correct.
I think there's always this...
No, and technically as well, you know exactly how much to push your KH, right? You know exactly the level of detail you get. KH120 has a lot of details, but even with that wide of a scale, you exactly know, okay, this is, if I'm hearing it at this level, this is how it should feel, if I'm hearing this. And, that is what, for us post guys, especially the U87s, the 149s, 102s, like those 4-5 mics have been, is if they work, and they work pretty much every time. They are like built out of tank parts or something. They work, they perform, they'll keep performing for decades.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've literally seen those mics perform for decades. So that sense of confidence, and then also having that ability, I grew out of my old workflow. I've brought in new technologies, new tonalities, new sound stage to my sound, and added this type of an equipment, like let's say a Neumann microphone. That's like game changing, because then that's the most dependable piece of your equipment in the entire chain.
Correct.
Your system might go off due to an update. Your DAW might not perform the way you expect it to be, but that microphone just stays solid. And it's just that dependability is very crucial. I would want just to pick up a mic every morning, mount it, connect it, and get to the art that much quicker.
Correct.
And the U87 or in general, the 147s, 149s and all Neumann microphones have that thing for sure.
Correct.
They allow people to get to their art a lot faster.
That's amazing.